Ron.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Ron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron.
You done messed up, Ron.
Aaron is here. Welcome back for more SPTV, where every day is a great day not to be in a cult. All right, we're doing SPTV late night edition. You know, nothing unusual about going live at 10 p.m. on a I was going to say Saturday. Yes, it is Saturday. I had to double check that. Okay, I'm wading into the lion's den a little bit here. You guys know on this channel, I've got a very strict no politics rule. I think if your audience doesn't come to you for politics, then you should not give them politics. And yet tonight we're talking about Patrick Bet-David, who has strangely enough become somewhat of a political figure. And the video that I'm going to take a clip from and share with you, where Patrick Bet-David, once again, this guy loves talking positively about Scientology. This clip comes from an interview that Patrick Bet-David did a couple weeks ago with one of the most controversial political figures in the United States, a guy by the name of Nick Fuentes, who, if you're not familiar with him, he's largely known for not being a fan of immigrants or the Jews. And Patrick Bet-David interviewed him for a couple hours a couple weeks ago. And right in the midst of a part of the interview where Nick is talking about how Jews have too much power and influence in the United States, Patrick Bet-David starts talking about Scientology and Scientologists. It drives me crazy that Patrick Bet-David never misses an opportunity to speak positively about Scientology. Now, Patrick Bet-David is a guy who made all of his money running a multi-level marketing company. Okay. In my opinion, Patrick Bet-David is a con man. Okay. Multi-level marketing is a form of business where the businesses make money, not primarily from selling products and goods and services, but primarily from recruiting new sellers into the pyramid scheme. And the company makes more money, makes the majority of its money from signing up new members as basically sellers or, you know, independent business owners into their pyramid scheme. And they recruit these people into the business by lying to them about the nature of the business opportunity. Multi-level marketing happens to be very popular in Scientology. Scientology and multi-level marketing have a lot in common. It's one of these things where everyone in the organizations are constantly lying to each other and then lying to themselves about whether they're lying to each other. Scientology, some people call Scientology a multi-level marketing system, but the Scientology's recruitment system is, it's not multi-level, it's only single level. So as a Scientologist, you can make money bringing other people into Scientology. But if the people you bring in turn, bring in other people, you don't make any money on that second part of the equation. But multi-level marketing companies are scams. Multi-level marketing is a scam. People who run multi-level marketing companies are scammers. They're con artists and they're liars. And they lie when they talk about their own business. They lie when they talk about the multi-level marketing industry. And it should come as no surprise that multi-level marketing is quite popular in Scientology, as it is in many religious groups. Multi-level marketing is huge in the Mormon Church. In fact, most of the US-based multi-level marketing companies are based by Mormons out of Utah and are based in Utah. And we don't even have to get into why. It just happens to be a fact. Okay, so I'm not a big fan of Patrick Bet-David. It's amazing how far bullshit artists can make it in this world. Patrick Bet-David has, he had a podcast called Valuetainment, and it was the name of the company, also the name of a podcast. And he also now has the Patrick Bet-David podcast. Patrick Bet-David has actually interviewed Mark Headley and Mike Rinder. This is a guy who's not ignorant of the abuses of Scientology, of the nature of the Scientology scam. He should know about Scientology. He does know about Scientology. And yet, when he's not interviewing Mark Headley or Mike Rinder, the guy never misses an opportunity to speak positively about Scientology. And that's mostly because Patrick Bet-David seems to value anything or anyone just based on their ability to make money. And that's an odd thing to do. Okay, so let's see here. Let's just watch this clip. I think I got it queued up here. The clip itself is only a couple minutes long, but let's see what he's talking about here. Remember the intro, the lead up to this, because I don't want to show any more of the clip than I have to, is Nick Fuentes has just made a comment about the inordinate amount of power and influence that the Jews have in America. Let's see how Patrick responds to this.
I think when a community becomes too cocky, the man upstairs is going to handle that himself, right? But in a sense, when you see they went from a small community to have this much influence, isn't that almost impossible for them to pull off? Like, isn't that? So it either produces one of two things. I'm not intimidated. I'm not a guy that is envious or jealous or, oh my God, that guy's richer than me. That guy's this guy's, I'm not. I want to see what they did and what worked for them. For example, to me, when I think about Jews, I think about Mormons, I think about Scientologists. I used to have an office where half the office was all Scientology, and I learned all these phrases, assist, or, I went to their church and so Dianetics and L. Ron Hubbard and what he would say when you get a headache, you do this and all these weird extras. I'm like, oh, interesting. How much money? We give $200,000. Why'd you give that? But let me tell you, those guys that were in, they had each other's back. It was a fraternity that you wish family members were like this, right? I think Scientologists have it maybe more than Jews. So I think Jews will bite each other a little bit, not as much. And then Mormons have each other's back. Of course, there's a falling out as well where people come out and they'll talk about God makers or, what Gordon B. Hinckley, and I've read all of that stuff from over the years. But what's wrong with them winning at the highest level?
What's wrong with them winning at the highest level? So what's sort of funny to me about him responding in this way is that he's responding to Nick saying the Jews have accumulated too much power in the United States. And Patrick's response is kind of like, well, isn't that just impressive? What's wrong with winning at the highest level? And you're like, okay, you're sort of accepting the premise. But here's the thing. Okay, the sentence, when I think of the Jews, I think of Mormons and Scientologists. What? What are you talking about? Like, Patrick Bet-David is such a high-level bullshit artist. This guy can talk around anything, and he can also talk forever. Have you ever seen this guy try to answer questions, especially ones about the multi-level marketing industry? He can talk his way out of a wet paper bag. Wait, no, that doesn't work. I'm sorry. But anyway, the guy's a high-level bullshit artist. Just so you guys understand, there's about 16, 17 million Jewish people in the world. The Mormon church claims actually a little bit more than that, maybe 17, 18 million members in the world. Real figures for the Mormon church might be half that much, 8, 9 million. In the entire world, there's about 25,000 Scientologists, and that's being generous. And Patrick probably knows about half of them. How do you say a sentence? When I think about the Jews, I think of Mormons and Scientologists. What? Okay. And then he talks about how, they have each other's back. In fact, the Scientologists probably have each other's back more than the Jews. You're like, oh my fucking God. Why does this guy never miss an opportunity to try to say how wonderful the community of Scientologists are? Do you want to know how Patrick Bet-David came to know Scientologists? From the multi-level marketing world. Guys, he's like, oh, Scientologists, they're so hardworking. I mean, I'm making reference to other times I've seen Patrick Bet-David mention Scientologists. They're so hardworking, and they're industrious, and they're focused, and they know how to make money. That's true of most cult members. The Scientology cult is all about making money. Scientology worships the almighty dollar. And And it's like, so this guy knows that Scientology is a multi-billion-dollar international family-destroying human trafficking cult. He's heard all the stories of David Miscavige's abuse. He's heard the stories of the Hole. He's heard about the financial fraud. He's heard about everything. And all Patrick Bet David cares about is those Scientologists sure know how to make a buck. And they sure have each other's back. What? Oh, my God. So there's a multi-level marketing company called World Financial Group. And Scientologist Michael Coleman is one of the highest up members of the World Financial Group. And Michael Coleman through, I think Michael Coleman's based in, he's on the West Coast for sure. I can't remember if it's California or Oregon or whatever. But Michael Coleman through a couple other ex-Sea Org members had a big World Financial Group wing here in Clearwater, Florida. And one time when I was between jobs, I actually went and got a life, health, and annuities license. And I basically got recruited into the World Financial Group MLM. And I went through the whole licensing course and I got my license, but I never actually, I got a real job offer by the time before I had to actually do anything for the World Financial Group. So Michael Coleman, Scientologist, Malia Schneider was the local World Financial, and I forget who her boyfriend was. Malia was going out with an ex-Sea Org member who I had actually been in the Sea Org with, and those two Scientologists were the head of World Financial Group. I've never heard Patrick Bet David tell the full story of how he comes to say the sentence, I used to have an office where half the staff were Scientologists. Do you know how unlikely that would be to be a non-Scientologist running a business where half the staff were Scientologists? I'm almost positive what he means is he had some sort of business dealings with the World Financial Group, possibly with Michael Coleman himself. But again, I haven't ever heard him tell the entire story. Multi-level marketing in Scientology, guys. Herbalife was very big in Scientology. Tom Cruise's own sister, Marion Henry, was an Herbalife distributor. When I was on staff in the Philadelphia org, the one-time executive director, Bonnie DiMartino, would actually shill her multi-level marketing products and business opportunities at Scientology's international events that the Philadelphia org would put on. When you have a cult that doesn't pay its staff a living wage, one of the things they resort to is trying to make money off of their fellow cult members. And one of the most efficient ways to do that is to recruit them all into a multi-level marketing scam by promising them impossible revenue numbers, impossible income figures. It's very much like Scientology, where everyone is telling you, you just have to get to the next level and everything will be great. You'll just have to get to the next level. That is how multi-level marketing companies treat their distributors. Oh, it's not working for you? You just need to get to the next level. Take your next training. Go to your next seminar. Go to your next excursion. Pay for the cruise. It's all bullshit. So when I see an MLM scam artist like Patrick Bet David constantly singing the praises of members of the international human trafficking cult of Scientology, there's a part of me that goes, that checks out. That checks out. Patrick Bet David had done, let me show you here. This was actually 10 years ago. He did a whole big thing with Scientology's most famous fake billionaire, Grant Cardone. And about 6 years ago, Patrick Bet David brought Mark Headley. I think this was out to Texas at the time, for an interview about Mark's Scientology story, talking a lot about David Miscavige. And then 3 years ago, he had Mike Rinder on his program to talk about Mike's book and Scientology and David Miscavige and all that stuff. And even knowing everything Patrick Bet David knows about Scientology, all he ever wants you to know is how hardworking and industrious and focused Scientologists are. So it couldn't really be that bad, could it? Yeah, it could be that bad. Scientology has a policy of never reporting crimes to the authorities, even if those crimes are against children and are of a sexual nature. There are things about being in a cult that supersede whether those cult members are really focused and hardworking and diligent. Maybe one of the reasons those cult members are so focused and hardworking and diligent is because it costs so much damn money to be in Scientology. And Scientology also values people only to the degree that they can work hard. They don't actually value people as people. They only value people as for what they can get out of them, get from them, how much money they can extract from them. Scientologists are under an awful lot of pressure to donate an awful lot of money, which is one of the reasons Scientologists do work so hard. They're also used to, most of them, working 100+ hours a week for Scientology for basically nothing, and are very thankful to be able to work at a regular job and work their guts out for just a living wage. So anyway, it drives me crazy to see an MLM scam artist like Patrick Bet David constantly acting like, because Scientologists work so hard, Scientology must be okay. Anyway, that's pretty much all I've got on this. Let's look at some starred comments and we'll wrap it up for the day. Northern Girl says multi-level marketing is very popular in the Mormon world as well. Yes, indeed. Constance, Scientology loves MLMs. CO Bilf, PDH. Okay, so PBD has a painting in his house of himself with Abraham Lincoln, Einstein, MLK, and the Shah of Iran. Really? Wow. Constance says this guy interviewed Mark and Mike and still speaks positively of Scientology. Oh, so he's just like whoever will benefit him at the moment. Yes, he is a bullshit artist. Old Frizz, what an ignoramus. Yes. Muds Kipper, who wants a family that puts protecting pedos above all? Oh, that's right. That's right. He said the Scientologists, how they have each other's back. It's like he said anybody would kill to have family members like that. And you go, oh, I'm actually glad that you mentioned this, that you reminded me of this. The reason to the outside world, it seems like Scientologists have each other's back is because anyone other than a Scientologist is referred to as a wog. Scientology has this built-in elitism that only Scientologists can trust others. Like only Scientologists can actually be trusted, to be honest. And yet contrast that to how Scientologists are expected to treat each other internally, which is constantly reporting on each other, spying on each other, snitching on each other. Scientologists falling all over themselves to be the first to report and snitch on others, because the person who reports first is exempt from the penalties. And anyone else who knew of something and didn't report it gets the same penalty as the person who committed the act being reported. Does that sound like the family member anybody would want? Someone who's constantly trying to snitch and rat you out and report you and be the first to tell on you? It's like, he's such a bullshit artist, though. I don't even know if he believes what he says most of the time. He's pretty much just saying whatever's most convenient at the time. Let's see. Rambling Jen. I think he's been successful talking BS. I do think he is good at it. He is a perfect example of the BS asymmetry principle. Okay. Old Frizz, having each other's back when it comes to not reporting abuse. There's that. Yes. E. Pepper, cults are always about labor. So yeah, that's right. So that reminds me, so in multi-level marketing businesses, essentially, it's one of these structures where pretty much less than 1% of the independent distributors who work for a marketing company, even a multi-level marketing company, even make a living wage. And yet you recruit people into the system by basically giving them a bunch of exaggerated, false, blown up figures of how much money they can make in the system. But anyone who actually works at a high level in the system knows that the pitch they're using to recruit new distributors into the system is a lie. This is my fundamental problem with MLMs and why I say people who run MLMs, they are all con artists. They are recruiting people into a system knowingly using lies. And that is exactly what Scientology does. That is exactly what David Miscavige does every day of his life. David Miscavige knows that the promise of Scientology, as outlined by L. Ron Hubbard, is a lie. David Miscavige knows there is no OT 9 and 10, but every day for the last 40 years, he's been lying to all the Scientologists about it. That's exactly how Patrick Bet David is in building a giant multi-level marketing company by recruiting distributors using known lies. Okay. And Cave Johnson says psychopaths see the world differently. I think that's definitely true. All right, guys, that is all I got on this. Just wanted to share that with you. Thanks for hanging out with me. And that's it for me for tonight. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Good night.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe